Hey there, you guys. Welcome back. Today we're going to do a front yard tour. So it's a beautiful day. It's early morning. It's like 7:30 a.m. So the neighbors are probably going to be sleeping, or they're getting ready for work. It is a weekday. Anyway, we're going to go around, do a little tour, and yeah, see what's going on. This Japanese maple is looking pretty darn nice. I really enjoy it. The small foliage, and it's just been growing so fast, so fast. So yeah, let's take a wander about. So let's just take a quick spin around. Hopefully there's no wind. It's not breezy now. I ended up getting a little thing for my microphone so that it kind of cuts down the wind noise. So there's the front garden. Spin around. We've got the pumpkins and things planted by seed. So hopefully they're going to start to sprout soon. We'll take a look over there soon. And over here, we've got the new garden with the street tree. There's the street tree leafing out. It's, what day is it today? Today is May 19th. So let's check out this garden over here first. So it's garbage day here. Pardon the mess. So this is the garden between our houses, and this year it was hard to find specific annuals in cell packs. Everything is being sold in 4-inch pots this year. Hopefully that's just COVID related, and next year, hopefully when things are, well, hopefully back up and running again, there will be more selection in cell packs so that I can buy mass amounts of plants for not as much money, because the 4-inch pots are like $5 a piece, and putting a couple of, maybe 100 plants in at $5 a piece, I'm not spending $500 in annuals. So I'll eventually probably move more towards perennials in this garden in the future, but right now it is getting mass planted around the base. I'm using, I believe they're called Sweet Alyssum. They're not very big right now. This one's a purple one, and then we got the white one, and they're just kind of in succession, purple, white, purple, white. So next month when we do the tour, you'll see the effect. I have the kale that came back from last year. Kale is actually a biennial, so the first year it just gives you leafy growth, and then the second year, if it survives your winter, will just bolt and go to seed like crazy, as you can see here. I've cut it back a few times, and it just, all it wants to do is go to seed. So this weekend I'm going to go out and grab some annuals for where the kale is, but if it's not broke right now, the kale still looks nice, so I'm going to keep that until I can just replace it with another annual. I think I'm going to go with a taller salvia for that spot, but we'll see. We'll see what the garden center holds. I have some creeping jenny down here at the base of this tree. I put it there in the fall 2 years ago, and I had a plan on putting it back in my hanging baskets or pots. But I've taken a little bit here and there, but I'm just leaving it there. It looks really pretty. Maybe this will be a mass planting eventually. And then I planted some of the big elephant ears here. They haven't started growing. It's still very early in the season. I just planted them last weekend. I'll need to water them in again, but they got massive last year. I almost didn't want to plant them here because they almost got as tall as the hydrangea. As you can see, the hydrangeas are coming out nicely. They're doing really, really well. We've got the ornamental grasses. These grasses started coming up in April. We had a really warm April, and then we had about 2 weeks of frosts in early May, and it decimated the new growth. But it looks like it has started to come back. As you can see, we got a lot of burn from the frosts. I had this cut right back. So all the dead growth that you see is new dead growth. And I bought this peony a few years ago, and it looks like I'm going to get flowers. I'm not sure whether these buds are going to open up this year, but it's a good sign that it's starting to produce buds. I wasn't expecting it to flower this year, but it's always a bonus. And this one is, I believe it's a pink single flower with a yellow center, I believe. But we'll see how that turns out a little later. Hopefully it blooms. You'll see it either on Instagram or in a garden tour, I'm sure. So let's go back to the front garden. Actually, let's stop at the Boxwoods. These containers came through just fine over the winter. We had a really mild winter this year, and the Boxwoods came through. I had them wrapped in burlap after Christmas, and they've done really, really well. It doesn't seem like they've got a lot of burn on them. We've got some new growth starting, as you can see here, the nice lighter green. And then we've got some Dusty Miller that has survived the winter. And I've got some ivy in here that also survived the winter. Generally this type of ivy dies here over the winter, but again, we had a really mild winter, so I'm using the word winter a lot. So I did buy some more of these plants to replace the dead ones, but I don't think I'll need to plant them in here, because as you can see, they've started to sprout again. So the same with both of the pots. I'm going to bring another pot out here. You'll see that one probably in the backyard tour. It's empty right now, but I'm going to have another pot here with a small banana in it. And then here is the other boxwood. This side seems to not have grown very well over the winter, or did very well. But I'm starting to see, I think, some new growth. We'll give it time. It needs to come into its own. I think I planted them last summer, so this was their first winter, I believe, so let's let them adjust. You do have to make sure when you're planting shrubs in containers to make sure that they stay watered. It's very easy to forget about them in the springtime. When we get the rains and stuff, many times the rain doesn't actually get in the pots. So you need to be very diligent with making sure that your pots are moist, but not soaking wet. And these are nice and moist. I just stuck my fingers in. So here is the garden. It's starting to come into its own. We're in a transitional period where the spring bulbs are kind of just finishing, and the perennials are starting to take over. So it's interesting. I need to rethink some of these things, but maybe with your help, give me some suggestions if you have any on what I could plant. Remember, I'm in zone 6B. So the boxwoods down here in the garden are doing amazing. Look at all the new growth. Oh, I can't wait for them to get maybe twice as big, maybe about this tall. I'm going to really start pruning. Right now I'm not really doing a heavy prune. I'm just pruning off the really tall bits in July. So I want them to size up. And then once they get to their size almost where I want them, I'll start trimming them lightly. But boxwoods kept clipped are really, really beautiful. Also, boxwoods that are just left on their own can have a really interesting shape as well. They're just really cool plants. Back to the Japanese maple here. Oh, it looks so pretty. Look at those leaves. Look at those leaves. They're so beautiful. I love the red margin. I love the red stem. It's just such an accent piece. We bought this plant 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. And it was just like a tiny little stick, and it's just really, really done better than I thought it would ever do, and I'm super happy with it. I need to get in there and prune it a little bit more this year. I want to clean out the center a little bit. I want it to have a nice dense canopy, but I want the inside to be a little bit more airy. I need more airflow through it. It'll look nicer if you can kind of see through it a bit. Down here, the Japanese forest grass. I can't remember the variety of this Japanese forest grass, but it was one of the ones as well that got beat up by the frosts in early May, and but it's starting to come out of it now. You'll see I cut them back to the ground in April, early April, when they started to grow, and all of the dead growth there is all new dead growth. So it really went through a time, but it's starting to look good again. Thank goodness, because that Japanese forest grass is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for it to have its wispy growth again. I still need to plant annuals in these bare spots, as you can see, but it's still not too early now, but I just haven't gotten around to it. There's other things that are taking my priorities. This beautiful Spirea, I love this one. I pruned that one back really, really hard. Let me go around to the other side. I pruned this one really, really hard in the spring, and I'll give it a trimming after the flowers have finished. So I really like to keep it compact. I was told that it needs to stay smaller than the maple tree behind it, or in front of it. So that's my goal. I want to keep it kind of really compact, but it looks nicer. Spireas always look nicer when you keep them trimmed. Then we got over here Dutch Iris. They are spectacular, but again, with the frost, I thought I had a bug on my arm. With the frost that we got in May, end of April, beginning of May, it burned the tips off of the ends. But I might end up moving these to the back because they're just getting a little bit too big. As much as I love them, they're really unruly. Or maybe I'll move them to the garden out front eventually. But in this garden, I don't know. They're kind of an evergreen, so maybe the back might be better. They die back to the ground in late summer, and then they start growing again in the fall, and then they're green all winter, and then yeah, it's an interesting cycle. I really think that they're cool plants. Okay, so next, here's the Hanoki false cypress. This one here, I don't know what to think about this. I love Hanoki false cypress. I love the compact growth and how it has its forms and its cloudiness. But then I've got this growth off to the side that I need to prune off because it just looks like a cedar tree. So I'll trim that off. It doesn't look anything like the Hanoki. It's probably just reverting back to an old form. But that's alright. A little bit of trimming never hurt anybody. We got another boxwood here. We got 3 boxwoods in this garden. We've got this one, the one that you already saw, and then we have this one over here. All of them are doing so well. We've got some beautiful sedum in this garden too. This one here came as a volunteer from one of my friend's gardens. Hi Ilona, if you're watching this video. It looks really, really pretty. I just need to keep this in check because it can get a little invasive. So I will just rip it out where I don't want it and even replant it or cut it back or whatever. Be a little bit tough with it. But if you're tough with it, you'll have really beautiful clumps like this. Starting from seed, you'll notice here they're starting to fade back, but these are Tulip Tarta. It's a species tulip that is yellow and white, and these are just little seedlings from it. The original plants died. As I raise the soil level of this garden and add mulch, they get a little bit too deep, and then I forget to lift them, and then they've died. But I'm trying to nurture the seedlings, and in time they will give me some beautiful flowers. They're a species tulip, and they do naturalize, so they're easy to grow, unlike some other tulips that need to be lifted each year and replanted, because they naturally dig themselves deeper into the soil, and then they end up fizzling away. This is a beautiful autumn Joy Sedum. It's a very old faithful. It's a very common plant. But I have it growing in a dry section here of the garden, and I hope it's going to be beautiful. I planted it last fall, so I don't even know that it flowered for me last year. And then we got the Gold Nugget, Hens and Chicks, Sempervivin, and it's starting to go more green, but it was very much orange, red, and very gold, and it was really, really beautiful. It's still beautiful now, but it looks a lot different. The cold temperatures really bring out the color. And then back here we have some little hardy cactus. You'll see here, oh, I need to clear the mulch away because they're growing right underneath the mulch. I'll have to get a little paintbrush or something. But you can see it here, little tops here. Last year, I can't remember which one flowered. I think it was this one, but it had beautiful pink flowers. And then this one's starting to make little babies. Come on, focus. I hope it's focusing. It had little babies, and yeah, hopefully they do well. I thought that this one here wasn't going to survive, but it did. I'm super excited. I think we had an issue with either a mouse or a squirrel or something eating it. We got another Dutch Iris here, and look at the flowers already starting. The buds here. Here we go. Oh, and this one here is starting to open. That'll be super exciting. They're a beautiful flower. And I have no idea what this is. I think it's a type of holly, but I'm not sure. Let me know down below. I ended up buying it from the garden center a few years ago, and it looked like a holly, but just a variegated holly. It starts with a C, I believe, if I remember the tag correctly. But it's doing well. It's hardy to my zone, obviously. I tried to grow it outside, and it's working. And then this is a type of Stachys. I believe Stachys is the way to say it. It's in the lamb's ear family, and Stachys minima or something like that. And it's got really compact growth, and the flower spikes are really tiny on it. Need to go through and remove the old spikes from last year. Oh my gosh, Bill, what have you been doing? Other things. That's what I've been doing. Other things. Put the little bird bath in the garden. We might end up putting some little marbles, glass marbles in here, so that the bees can have a drink. And this lovely daffodil is now fading. This was such a fragrant daffodil. It was beautiful. And then a lilium. I think this one's a lilium longifolium. I can't remember which color it is, but they're supposed to get really, really tall. And it's growing like a weed, and it's doing amazing. And then here's the dogwood. This is it stellar? I'm not sure. This one was another one that got hit by the frost. It was starting to grow really, really nice, and then we got the 2 weeks of really cold temperatures, and it kind of set back the opening buds. But we've got the flowers starting to come in. Hopefully they're coming into focus. Focus on my fingers. And yeah, there's a lot of flowers all over it. This tree has, or shrub has, been through the ringer. It seems to not really like its spot, but then it does, and then it doesn't, and then it does. We just need to really keep it watered. So, but that's really hard to do here because the soil is clay. Where it is, we've amended the soil, so we keep it watered as best we can. But the clay holds on to a lot of moisture, so we don't want to overwater it. That's the problem. So the muscari is pretty well finished for now, for this season. It's working on making some seed pods. And then down below the muscari is the beautiful gentiane. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the gentiane. And absolutely beautiful, beautiful plant. The viewfinder on the camera is looking like it is out of focus. I hope that it is not. Let me see if I can... Well, the focus seems to be the same, so it's probably just my eyes. It's early in the morning. I think I'm a little fuzzy. So, but these gentiane are really, really beautiful. The color of blue is amazing. It's probably not showing up very well here. On Instagram, my photo really does capture the blue beautifully. Over on this side, as we swing around again, this gentiane has a slightly different foliage, but it's going to have a very similar flower, except this one is going to flower a little bit later. This one flowers about a month after the other one does. And then more to this side, we've got the geranium, the crane's bill, the perennial geranium. It's starting to put out its flowers. These guys tend to flower from early spring all the way until fall, but they get their biggest flush soon, and then we'll just get periodic flowers. It's nice to trim them back, and they tend to give you a nice flush of flowers after you trim them. But this one is doing nicely. For the first couple of years, the leafy growth was very sparse, and it just wasn't looking very pleasing. But now it's starting to come into its own. Thank God I didn't rip it out, because I almost did. But the blooms are really cute. And over here by the fence, we have the these are fall mums. I've had these since the beginning. I think 4 years old, and they just keep coming back. And these ones are beautiful pink. Oh, they're so pretty. But I'm super excited. I think this was one plant, and it's divided into two. So I'll probably end up dividing it and moving them around so that I have some fall color later on. Okay, and then these are the Cypress vines I grew from seed. I let you guys know that I was going to do it, and I've got them. They're planted near the fence, so hopefully they grow up the fence and bring all the hummingbirds to the yard. And then over here we've got the turtle head. Always with this guy, he gets hit by a frost. He starts to come up. I think he comes up quite late, but then he gets hit by the frost, and then he just looks terrible. But these new growths have came up after the frosts, so they look quite nice. Oh, and I have a little euonymus there sizing up. I don't know if it's going to stay there or not, but I bought it for $2.99, so I thought, oh, why not? And yeah, I really like euonymus. I like them better when they're kept in a shape. I don't really like the wild and crazy ones. So yeah. Anyway, let's check out the very front garden, and then we'll go along the side, and that will be it for this tour. Okay, so this is the front garden under the tree and around the fire hydrant. So many of the things that I got from the Botanist unboxing I put out here. This is the Siberian Iris, the pink parfait. As you can see, it started to sprout already. It's only been a week since I planted it, so it's doing really, really well. What else do we have here? I want to really keep this spot clear on either side. I need to have lower growing things or things that can get damaged, and I don't want to worry about it. But the firemen need to be able to get in here and access the hydrant. And then right here we have the green twister, the Echinacea purpurea. As you can see, it's already started to sprout. Super exciting. And we've got the lavender over here. It's supposed to be the variegated one. Why are you not coming into focus? We'll come around at a different angle and see if I can get it. It's all the way across the garden. We'll see if we can get it to focus in. And then over here we've got the soapwort, the rock soapwort, whatever. Yeah, rock soapwort. I wrote it down, and it's starting to grow. Super excited about that one. I didn't order it, but I hope that it fills in this whole area with lovely color. And then over here we've got the sedum, the sun sparkler lime zinger. And why is it so? Is it going to focus? Hopefully it's in focus. Hopefully this guy grows up and takes over this whole corner as well. But again, with the creeping varieties of sedum, you really need to watch them to make sure that they don't take over. They can get into your lawn and they're really hard to get rid of. I've had that in the past. So there is the lavender again. I don't see the variegation, but it's still quite a small plant, so fingers crossed that the white striping will come through soon. And then over here, I moved this big hibiscus from the front garden, and I moved it to the very front garden. I need to trim off now the old spikes or the old shoots, because they always start from the ground. I leave a bunch of the stems so that I know where I planted it, because these guys tend to come up really, really late. But as you can see, we've got all kinds of new growth there. I'm actually surprised that I have so much new growth, because I planted it, I transplanted it really early this year before anything had started, and I didn't get a lot of roots. So I'm happy. I'm happy that it's sprouting so much. So I'm excited to see how this one grows this year in a bigger space. It has so much room to spread out. So let's just check the side garden out now. So here is the side garden. I've got the tomatoes planted. I've got 4 little tomatoes. I don't eat tomatoes, so I just enjoy growing them. These ones are sweet 100s or something, so a little cherry tomato. I've got some more of the cypress vine, not the cypress vine, yeah, cypress vines growing here. I just planted these again last weekend, so they're going to eventually climb up the trellis. Usually we like to have the plants here growing that block the wind, but this particular one, as you can see, the foliage is so thin and fern-like, it's not going to block any wind, so at least it better be pretty and full of flowers. We've got the water barrel. They're collecting all the glorious water. It's best to water the carnivorous plants and whatnot from the water barrel, from the rainwater. Over here we've got the garlic, and it's doing really, really well this year. I need to come in and give it a little bit more of a drink. At this location of the house, it's very, very dry against the house, so I need to come in and really give it a good drink. Maybe that's what causes this garlic to be really, really strong in flavor. It's very strong. I don't like onions, and this is bordering on an onion flavor to me. So around here, I'm going to plant the dahlias here this weekend, and then I've got my plumerias that are over here. Need to give them a drink. I brought them out last weekend. The nighttime temperatures are now above 10 degrees Celsius, So yeah, fingers crossed they are not going to get damaged. But they've been dormant downstairs. They really wanted to come up. They've been having an issue with mealybugs at the crowns of the plants. So when I brought them out, I gave them a spray off. But I need to come down with some insecticidal soap and actually spray them off. This one here has an inflow, which if you follow me on Instagram, I believe I posted it on Instagram. Yeah, the growths are happening. They just want to do their thing. And I just need to come in and make sure that they stay watered. But I'm going to dig them into the ground this weekend when I have a second. They can wait. I'm doing my other stuff first, and since they can survive here the way that they are, that's what's going to happen. I almost forgot. We need to show you the pumpkin patch. So this is in the farmer's field. We ended up amending this with a bunch of manure because the soil that was left here was a very sandy mix, and it dried out so fast, and I guess the nutrient content was probably quite low, and I really didn't get any production of pumpkins, so I thought I would buy a bunch of bags of manure and see what would happen. And yeah, fingers crossed it holds a little bit more moisture and gives a little bit more nutrients. I will also try to fertilize a little bit more often, but again, it's not really on our property, so I don't want to go too far with it. It's here as a kind of a community kind of garden that I've planted. I want the kids, like last year, I want the kids to be able to come over and see it, experience the pumpkins growing, and I was just a little disappointed last year, so I want to really make it do well this year. So also in here, I planted some sunflower seeds from the backyard that I had, and hopefully they come up and bring in the birds. So anyway, these I planted last weekend, but I'm seeing some growth. I'm not sure whether you can see the little green sprouts growing there. Those ones look like they're just gourds, and I've got some stuff happening here. These look like they're just sunflower seeds that are sprouting, but we'll see. They could be more gourds because I threw a bunch on here at the end of the season last year, and they just decomposed. So there could be some random seeds just going throughout. But I have everything labeled. There is a mixed pumpkin. There's a regular gourd, a mixed gourd. There's the crown of thorns gourds, and there's some small. They look like small little orange pumpkins, but gourds. Jack B. Little or something is what they're called. But yeah. So that was a fun little walkthrough. It took a little longer than I thought. There was so much to talk about. I wish you guys were here just to wander through and experience it with me, but I'm glad that it could be done through this sort of media as well. So we'll get into checking out the backyard next. Hopefully the videos will be uploaded at the same time, so you can just peruse at your leisure. But look at that beautiful Friedeck. I just brought it up from the basement in the grow room, and yeah. It was getting eaten up by spider mites. I'm surprised it looks as good as it does. But now it's got to acclimate to outside. But it's going to look so pretty this year. So anyway, I'd love to see what you're growing in your garden. Post photos post photos to the Plants and Things What's Growing page on Facebook. If you use that, and love to see them. And until that next time, happy growing, everybody.